variety of different founders. We've been talking to a lot of different creators. This is a talk that we definitely needed to have at this particular moment. The talk that we're going to about have today is all about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. There's so many spaces talking about it. I just want to talk about it as from a creator perspective. Should you get involved? Why should you get involved? What it is all about? I know there is a sentiment out there about like anything crypto, people's eyes glaze over. So we want to demystify. And I have one of the greats here, by the way. Lucas has been putting in a lot of work when it comes down to the NFT space. And I just wanted to highlight some statistics for you if you're unfamiliar with some of his work. He's hosted over 2,000 hours of spaces, hosted over 260 spaces, helped over 1,000 NFT artists, helped over 15,000 plus NFTs from various projects, and created a free course for folks new to the NFT space. Made some amazing friends. So I'm going to put that information all at the very top so that you have a sense of his credentials. I don't mess around. I only work and talk to the very best. So stay tuned. And as you notice, my Avi changed. We're going to talk about why I changed it. And for before we do, Lucas, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Fantastic.
Pleasure to be on the show.
Oh, yes. I'm super excited to have you. Um, and this is something I know that is extremely controversial. It's extremely like it's controversial because as an outsider, all you see is primarily these ape people, these weird avatar images. People are like making all this money or maybe and crypto and what's going on. So we just want to like demystify all the stuff. And I think no better person than yourself to kind of set us straight. So first and foremost, I would like to just begin by just asking. Say again. Did you say something, Lucas?
I no, didn't say anything. I was getting a phone call. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So, for folks that are new, this is a recorded space. We're actually streaming on various channels right now. We're on Haps, we're on Twitter's Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all being streamed live. At the very end, you'll have a full recording. I wanted to make this one free. The last few I've had were ticketed spaces, and it was primarily because we have given over $1,000 in the last couple of weeks in products and services and things like that nature. So I figured, $3.99 is not that big of a deal. So that's that. But I wanted to make this an open discussion, especially for creators. So let's start at the kind of like the very beginning. Uh, Kind of give a sense of, or give people a sense of your background, how you got started on in this journey on NFT, so that people get a sense of some of your credentials and things of that nature. If you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to start from like career wise
Yeah,
credentials,
just
or do you
give
want to go?
people a
Okay.
yeah pre NFT, pre all of this stuff. Just give people a background of like where did this all start for you as well.
Yeah, sure. If it's my career, I would say I've been in the startup and tech space for 21 years. Started in the year 2000. Got my undergrad in digital marketing and got my master's, double master's degree in business and computer science, and started working at tech companies. And we know that tech and NFTs kind of like go hand in hand. So
Correct.
it's kind of an interesting thing. So yeah, and my career kind of like started at like I said, a startup, and got lucky with a couple of the startups right away. So first startup I worked at was lowermybills.com, which got bought by Experian. I was an executive there in charge of like strategy, one of the people that was in charge of strategy for that company. Then went on to consult. I was consulting for MySpace when it got purchased by Fox. Intermix Media got purchased by Fox, and then moved on to another company called Traffic Marketplace, which then got bought. I was the number 12 ad network. I was the general manager of the display ad network.
Mm-hmm.
And moved that one up from like number 12 to number 2 privately held ad network, and it got sold to Epic Media for $500 million.
Cheapers.
And yeah, there was a lot of those. I did a couple of startups on my own. Worked at Sony Pictures. I was head of marketing for Crackle.com for a couple of years. Then got a moved over and did global marketing for Atari for a couple of years. After that, worked at another startup called Hello Music. I was the general manager and SVP of marketing there. And then I just started doing my own companies from there. And at Hello Music was the first time I actually dove into the wonderful world of crypto. As one of my creative directors actually came to me one day. It was an interesting story. Maybe it'll be interesting to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Came to my office and was like, "Yeah, I quit." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on? How could I make you stay? You're a great creative director." "No, I'm rich," he said. "I don't need to work ever again." And I go, "What?" And he's like, remember Bitcoin I told you to invest in last year? I was like, "Yeah." I go, "What's up?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just rich. I don't need to work ever again. There's a yacht in the harbor. I'm leaving, and I would say I'd probably see you again or talk to you again, but I'm literally changing my life and sailing away." And
wow.
I invested in Bitcoin that day.
Oh.
I was like, "Yeah, that was a really bad move." So I invested in Bitcoin in 2012, got out in 2014, invested again in 2017, got out around the end of 2017, had a bad experience with Coinbase at the time. No offense to Coinbase, but and this was like, I kind of like exited crypto for a while, got back into crypto again, Ethereum, and then, yeah, I mean, I started working in the NFT space. I was consulting for a financial technology company, people like to call it fintech, and when I was asked to help with strategy on a few NFT projects, and for me, this is August of 2020, and I'm like, yeah, I've heard of NFTs, but I don't really know much about them, so I did a deep dive for about a week of just like 24/7 learning about NFTs and the history. And I'm like, wow, this goes back a lot further than I thought.
Right.
So I started helping some folks that were launching their own NFT projects, like with strategy and marketing around them in August, September, and October, with some success too, with some great success. And I minted my first NFT just because I wanted to feel how the process worked and everything like that on Mintable around October of 2020. No big deal. No one bought my. NFT.
Okay, we'll buy some hopefully. Is it? Yeah.
No one bought that NFT. It's a video game focus. So it's like, you know what? I'm not really an NFTer, so I just wanted to feel the process of like minting and, you know, looking at it and like seeing if anybody would just go out and buy it. And eventually I got deep into the NFT, very deep in the NFT space around January. And then I became addicted around April. And
wow.
I think ownership is kind of addictive when it comes to NFTs. It's just like once you stop, you just can't get away from NFTs. So yeah, I mean, it's just, and that's what I've been doing ever since, is just educating, helping folks sell their NFTs, putting in the reps on spaces, and just like basically kind of like mentoring NFT artists on how to market, because they're artists and then what they do best is art. What they're not always the best at is basically distribution, which is basically just, you know, having a lot of followers and making sure that enough eyeballs see their art for them to basically get it purchased, basically. So that's where I am now. Like I said, I literally in my post Amy to NFTs is 14, 15 hours in spaces, just helping NFT artists. And after I answered questions 300 times, the same questions 300 times, me and her created a free course and released it and said, "Here you go, guys. Just, you know, this is literally NFT 101 from, you know, start to finish, to help onboard more traditional artists into the NFT space so they could actually start selling their art." And yeah, I even started creating my own NFTs, and I literally just did my own Genesis piece on Foundation that sold for an ETH like a couple of days ago.
Wow.
So yeah, I actually just sold it. I think it was yesterday. It was when I finally made the sale. The auction on Foundation sold out for 1 Ethereum. So it's pretty. I guess that's pretty good.
1 Ethereum. Jesus.
Yeah, for a photograph I took about 5 years ago. So yeah, it's an amazing photograph too. So I have to. It's hanging on my wall right now.
Wow. So we're gonna go through a lot of terms, because one of the first things that people can you know, complain is this is a whole nother language. You've talked minting, you've talked in and out, like how do you do that? All those things. So I definitely want to go into more detail there. I really love the story because I think a lot of people are in that kind of same space of going in and out and knowing when to leave. And that's another thing to discuss is like you have that fluidity of being able to come in and out at your leisure. And it's something to, just have in mind. So let's go back to your friend at Hello Music, and he mentioned this. How soon did he mention this Bitcoin topic to you, and what was your initial impression when he was talking about it?
My initial impression was the same initial impression that most what they call normies have in the non-web 3.0 space.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I don't know anything about digital currency. I don't know. I don't really want to learn about it right now. I'm in charge of this, this startup basically. I've got enough, management responsibilities that I just don't have time for this. It's already a 14, 15 hour work day for me every single day. And I'm managing, a bunch of people, at least 28 people. I can't just, learn about digital currency. I'm in charge of the general management, and I'm also in charge of the marketing for all of it.
Right.
That's usually the biggest P&L in a business is the marketing budget. So, yeah, I mean, I just was like, it was literally 3 weeks after I started, 4 weeks after I started, and he's like, you got to get into Bitcoin. I'm like, and he just kept saying it over and over and over again. And I'm like, I finally was like, dude, I'm not buying Bitcoin. Like, I'm just not going to do it. Like, you do great work. Focus on creative, and I'm just not gonna buy it. So just like you can just give up now. And it was just so short-sighted of me. But like I said, I was so slammed with the like work. I was new, like being a new GM, being a new, person in charge of all the people at the startup. I was like, come on, like I just don't have time for this. So that was really again short-sighted, but also I was kind of like a little overworked at a startup. So I'm sure you know how it is. So.
Oh, yes, indeed.
So yeah, it was a year after that. Like I said, literally a year after that, he basically cleared $10 million for Bitcoin, and I was just like, okay, that would have been a good move.
So what year was that?
2011.
2011. Wow, early days.
Right at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012, basically, and I was like, shucks. So.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I heard about it because we're in marketing, so we hear all these things, and it just like at the time it was this whole mining thing. I'm like, I'm doing what with where and what is this? It seems kind of I don't know if I'm going to dedicate like server space. Like it was all kind of very nebulous, but it's I think as we proceed in this conversation, I also want to discuss there's different components. There's, Bitcoin, there's um, Ethereum, and there's also like I think there was Chainlink and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you know about the other situations, but I do kind of just have because you're so familiar with it, and I'm just also getting involved in it as well. A lot of it's kind of understanding kind of like the different platforms and things like that. So that's why I want to be keen on the terminology because I think that that's where a lot of people get kind of lost. Especially you mentioned something called minting. It's just like, oh, what is minting? Like, and we'll get to that. I just really want to get to this story because I think a lot of people are resonating with the story, right? A lot of people are gonna be are having this, it's the normie, right? Waves of normies. We just happen to be early adopter, right? But what's great about this for everyone in this space, it's still early. Everybody's still an early adopter.
I'm considered anybody that's before 2021 is considered like a pioneer in the space. So because I was doing like working on NFT like strategy and stuff like that in August of 2020, that's considered pioneering days. I know it sounds crazy. I think it's kind of crazy to me too. But because it all took off around March of 2021 with that Beeple news of him selling his $69 million piece, like that was like the big, oh my God, you could just sell like art on the blockchain and become a millionaire overnight. And anytime there's a get rich kind of like sounding scheme out there, they're like, oh my God, I want to do this. Everybody wants to do this. It's like, I didn't really see it that way because I was already in the space, like not all the way in the space. I was just doing, like I said, strategy for folks. And I minted my first piece and I didn't see anything, really come from it. But there was definitely a lot of like buzz, and again, there's just a lot. There's a lot that goes into this. That's a lot of like, it's like a hype cycle, like just like
Yes.
marketing. It's hype cycles.
Yeah.
So,
And I want to also unpack all the different, again, there's various hype cycles for each component of all these things. So,
no doubt about it. Just any kind of investing. There's hype cycles around cryptocurrency. There's hype cycles around NFTs. There's hype cycles around 10,000 collections. There's hype cycles around ones of ones. There's so many different types of hype cycles that we could go through from like 2011 all the way up to all the way up to the current day right now. So
yeah, and there's the cat meme, and then there's the CryptoPunks, and then there's the gorillas.
This is one of my good friends. He's a really great guy.
So let's and we're gonna link up to all your resources as we talk, because I know you mentioned pre-course, but okay, so let's talk big picture for just people. Let's talk fundamentally, what is crypto? Why is it important now? Kind of just step through what a blockchain is, how that fits in. Let's talk next Bitcoin, because that was the first to hit thing, and then we'll go to Ethereum, and we'll go to NFTs. First, is that the proper order? Because it seems like that, in my mind, is the historical order. But is there another order in which we should explain this, especially since you do a lot of NFT 101s? What is the proper way to onboard people to understand these kind of concepts?
I actually think NFTs is the best way to onboard anybody into cryptocurrency.
Okay.
I actually thought what used to be, in my mind, was something simple like, let's just say Dogecoin, because people have something called unit bias when it comes to cryptocurrency. They don't want to own fractional coins.
Right.
Unit bias means they want to own a whole coin. So if they can't afford like a Bitcoin that's going for $50,000, it's like a timeshare. They want to own the whole house, not just a week or 2 weeks at a house, and it's not theirs. So that's why Dogecoin is kind of like the coin of the people, because someone could actually own a whole coin without spending thousands of dollars on it, right? So that is a good entry level into cryptocurrency, is coins like that, because it's a real cryptocurrency, where a lot of these other coins that are out there, tokens that are out there aren't. But NFTs are even better, because even though it's minted on the Ethereum blockchain, it gamifies the blockchain. It gamifies investing. It gamifies the whole idea of cryptocurrency. You have to you want to understand cryptocurrency because you want to buy an amazing piece of art that's listed on the blockchain, and you can go and buy, and you're basically hoping either you like the art, which I always say you should always start with liking the art in the NFT space, and then secondarily, do you think the art's going to be of value in the future? Because if you like the art, even if it doesn't go up in value in the future, at least you have this amazing piece of digital art that you actually like.
Yeah.
But
let's
say
80%
of people, if not 90% of people, are actually betting on the future, not only of artists, but of collections going up. So in theory, it's like a futures contract on art and collectibles and the artist.
Yes. Let's step back, because there's so much. And the reason why I said start with like Bitcoin and crypto, because I want people to have a fundamental understanding of the tech and where we are. Because I completely agree with you regarding the onboarding process of when to ready to buy. But I think there's some underlying technologies that I think people fundamentally don't understand, because they have this whole thing, because it's a technologically based system that's networked, computered all together for this ledger and all these other things. We need to kind of unpack why that's important. So I could
definitely explain like how blockchain works if you want, just real quick.
Yeah. Why don't we start baby steps? Because we talked about, this is for creators. We want to help monetize, but as creators, they're doing artwork. They don't know anything about like why they should get into this. So I want to go back and say, okay, here's what a blockchain is, why this is important. Not get into heavy details, but just like a very big, a primer on the subject so that we all are fundamentally talking about the same thing. And then for more detailed information, there's obviously your free course and there's some other resources, but I definitely want to get to the point of, as a creator, what could we, how we should be leveraging it, and how, what's the strategy to get about, from this conversation to creating a strategic marketing plan to incorporate NFTs into your creator portfolio, if you will. So let's start with the basics. Tell,
again, just cryptocurrency or just blockchain technology is just basically, it's provenance, right? It basically says, hey, you own this, and it's on a blockchain, decentralized blockchain.
So what's
a blockchain is just a ledger, right? It's just a very long line, and that's why it's called the chain. A bunch of transactions connected, and it basically literally looks like a chain of transactions and ledgers. So it's basically, that ledger is the chain, a bunch of different transactions showing who owns what. And that is then decentralized. All those ledgers are replicated on things called nodes. So if you try to alter a ledger of anything in the world, it could be currency, it could be a real world item, it could be anything. That provenance, it's just a record on a ledger somewhere that cannot be altered, because if you try to alter it on one of the ledgers, all the other ledgers reconcile it and say, hey, this one ledger doesn't match up with the other 19,000 records out there, the other 19,000 nodes that also store that ledger. So like your immune system, you can think of it, it sees a foreign cell and attacks it and replaces it.
All right, and let's step back from that. Let's step back from that, because even that in and of itself is like, okay, so how does that work? So I'll give my layman's term and my interpretation, and then you dissect it, confirm if it's accurate or not, and then we could go from there. So essentially, what this is a bunch of people decided to share their computers, and this is where the validation that just was talked about happens. So people voluntarily, not only individuals, but there's server rooms that are just filled, and these ledgers are distributed all over the world. So this allows not a centralized form of finance, but a decentralized form of finance, because every single computer is, or the people that volunteered to participate into this kind of project volunteered a certain element of it. So if my computer goes down, Lucas's computer would be still going on. If Lucas's goes down, we got Madhi's, and if it just, think of all the people in the space contributing a little networking resource to ensure that the stability of this ledger is there. So is that a correct and accurate statement?
Correct.
So when
that basically is, yeah, it's because they're called nodes, though. I mean, even though it could be a laptop, it could be a server, it could be your desktop, it doesn't really matter. As long as the node is running, wherever the node is running, that counts as another ledger that's out there, another node that's basically storing ledgers on it, so that you cannot basically, like I said, if you alter one of the 19,000 or 30,000 or 100,000 that are out there, that one gets reconciled with all the other ones, and if it doesn't match, it just gets overwritten. That's why you cannot alter the record. That's a proof that you actually own something, whether it's currency or not.
And what's great is it's a public ledger, so anyone can look at this. Is this correct?
That's also correct. 100%.
So now the critical component of this is that this all resides in your wallet. You have a digital wallet, and that wallet is secured by a 9-word passphrase. Is that the right terminology? Is it a passphrase?
It's a seed phrase.
It's a seed phrase. Yes, that escaped me. So you have.
If you lose your seed phrase, you might actually lose access to your entire account, and that's what you guys have been hearing in the news. There's some people that had like Bitcoin from like 10 years ago and forgot about it, and then they lost their seed phrase, and now there's $250 million in Bitcoin sitting somewhere on a cold storage wallet, and they don't know their passphrase, or on their a wallet from back in the day, and they just don't know their passphrase, and they literally are trying to hire people to try and hack the wallets to get their $250 million or $400 million or whatever that however many Bitcoin they have on their wallets. So there's like lots of that in the news.
So the biggest thing,
So if you lose it, you
Yeah.
literally lose it.
right? So the biggest thing to learn, this passphrase needs to be secure. That's the most important item out of all this discussion. Make sure that from that perspective, because if you lose that, you're through. There's no way to replicate. There's no resetting your passphrase.
And
It's
there's
not
no
like
insurance.
there's nothing.
Because it's decentralized. The beautiful part about decentralization is also the
The
most
worst.
negative part of decentralization. There is no insurance like a bank offers. The FDIC, your money is insured up to a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And when it comes to crypto, it's not. It's up to you to write down your passphrase, your seed phrase, and put it in a safe, put it somewhere else. Do not store it on your phone. Do not store it anywhere anybody can hack it and find out what it is and empty your crypto. I mean, that's literally, I hear about these things happen all the time. If you write down your seed phrase or store even an image on your phone of your seed phrase, you're basically just asking for your money to be taken from you. So yeah, write it down, put it in a safe, write it down in multiple places and put it in multiple places. And you just got to be really, really safe with that seed phrase, especially if you're holding lots of assets, especially NFTs and of course cryptocurrency. So
Correct. So that's lesson number one. Make sure it's secure, because otherwise you put yourself in jeopardy of all this work, all this future talk we're going to talk about now. That's probably like the most critical component, I would say, unless you have another perspective,
no,
Lucas.
that's super critical. I mean, this is critical on, again, crypto and your NFTs live in similar wallets. Not all the wallets except NFTs, but I can tell you right now, they definitely all have seed phrases. So whether you have NFTs in your wallet or you're using NFTs and crypto in your wallet, it doesn't matter. Like if you lose that seed phrase, it's possible you lose everything forever.
All right.
And that's it.
And then I use MetaMask as my wallet. Is that a good place for people to start to just at least get their wallet?
For NFTs, absolutely.
Okay.
I use MetaMask as well. Like that's my default wallet. Now for investing, that's a different story. I use different wallets. I actually have eight different wallets just on my phone alone. And I have a cold storage wallet, one cold storage wallet as well.
All right. So I'm going to put a link to the MetaMask. So so I want to give some actionable items that people can take right now, even if they're not ready, just so that they know the proper steps. So we're not talking about investing yet or anything like that. And this is not an investment show. This is more about understanding. This is not anything. This is none of those things. This is just informational things that you need to start the conversation, to start the thought process of, what opportunities are available. But I would suggest, not knowing anything, at the very least, set up a MetaMask account. So when you're ready, you have a digital wallet, which is where you're going to keep everything stored. Is there anything else besides this digital wallet that people need to prepare or do beforehand that you would recommend?
A cold storage wallet is also crucial. I am no expert in cold storage wallets. I just know I have one of my own. And if I want to protect an asset that I plan on keeping for a good long time, or I actually have crypto that I really, really want to keep safe, I put it in a cold storage wallet that I know I'm going to keep for a while. So yeah, I mean, that's really important. And again, I'm no expert on it. There are definitely more skilled people in cold storage wallets than me. And that's all I can say is definitely it's crucial, though. It's not a steep learning curve with cold storage wallets. You just scan it and it literally stores your information into a hard wallet that's disconnected from the internet. So no one could ever hack a cold storage wallet.
Right. So that's
another crucial one. You need to have, if you really want to get into crypto and NFTs and you want to keep things for the long term or just keep things very, very, very secure, I would store things on a cold storage wallet and then use the cold storage wallet to transfer back and forth whatever you need to get from it or actually put back onto it. That's a way to keep it disconnected from the internet. So it's literally impossible to be hacked because it's not connected. There is no connection Wi-Fi to it. So
okay. So let's call that 102.
Yep.
We'll call that NFTs 102. We'll keep at 101. So if you're eager beaver, look into that. Go at your own, do your own research, those types of things. So that was step one. At the very least, get the MetaMask. It's an app. Just get it started. Whether you use it immediately or not, at least you got it started. That's like the big piece. This other component, that's if you're ready to like really take it up a notch. So we won't go into depth about that right now, because it's, I think, a little bit outside of the scope of these creators knowing about these things. So now let's step back. Let's talk about, we have this ledger. So what in the world is this thing called Bitcoin? Could you give a high level perspective? What is Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin seems to be the front runner when it comes down to cryptocurrency in regards to, okay, Bitcoin summarizes everything. I know there's a bunch of other variables, but that one seems to have everyone's attention. So could you describe what Bitcoin is from a creative perspective? You don't need to go and, into details. Like, why would a creator need to know anything about Bitcoin?
Um,
If they do, maybe they don't.
If you're in the NFT space and you're a creator, you really don't need to know a lot about Bitcoin, because in my mind, and I think in a lot of other people's minds, it's a store of value. So if you want to actually use Bitcoin, it's literally, it's the digital gold, right? So it's not really difficult. You really don't need to dive into Bitcoin if you're a creator, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
If you need to, if let's just say you sell a piece and you get lucky and you have a Bored Ape and you sell it for, $500,000, and you want to buy some Bitcoin to store the value in, then yeah, Bitcoin's a great tool to store value. But it's like, literally, I call it the digital gold, and I'm pretty sure everybody else would agree with me. It's not used for transacting. It's used for storing your wealth.
Right. So here is my layman's interpretation, and you correct me if I'm wrong. So Bitcoin is like a currency, like gold, like you mentioned. NFTs, there's a contract associated with this non-fungible token that allows a lot more flexibility for the artist. So as Jay-Z would explain it, when he was here a few months ago on Twitter Spaces talking to Jack, saying, hey, look, this is a phenomenal breakthrough for an artist, because in this contract that you set up this NFT on, as an artist in the past, what used to happen is, if I sold my piece of art to you, Lucas, and I sold it for $100, and I was just a starting artist, and you got one of my first paintings, it was $100. I just make that one transaction as an artist, and that's it. Now I become much better in my craft, and my art starts going for $10,000. Right. And then I happen to die, and then it becomes more valuable. Now, Lucas could go and turn around and sell it for like $1 million. And me and my estate, we don't get anything. But with NFTs, there's something built into the contract, which is so appealing, is that I could get a perpetual royalty, me and my estate, because it's built into the contract of this digital art, and it could be music and all these other things. So I'll stop there. Is that a good summation, or is it any details that I left out when regarding the NFTs for an artist or creator?
I would say you don't have to die to be a very famous artist nowadays because of NFTs. Actually, NFTs has basically allowed artists who have cult followings and are cult classics in the tech space, and these folks have been working at their craft very, very, very long time, and have had a very hard time selling their art online. So a great example, Beeple. He's been creating a piece of art every single day since, I believe, the year of 2007. He's an amazing digital artist, but he struggled to sell his art, prints of his art online for years. Couldn't even sell them for $10. Couldn't sell them for $50 or $100 framed, nothing like that. He was struggling to sell that stuff. As soon as NFTs came out, he started posting them on OpenSea, selling them for $1. And every single one of those pieces of art he's building doorways back to him, and he's building royalties coming back to him. So the more of those little entry points, the more of those little pieces that he puts out, every time those exchange hands, he gets a royalty off of it. So let's just say you're a brand new artist and you have 10 pieces out there, and people are trading them, you get money, right? Of course. But if you have 1,000 pieces out there, you get a lot more royalties and a lot more chances for those to exchange hands and be resold and resold and resold. And the more you keep doing it, the more important you become, the more value we place on it. Because in theory, life is speculative. Everything in our world is speculative, right? Whatever the market is willing to pay for anything in this world, a laptop to a TV to a car to a t-shirt, right? Champion sweatshirts were very expensive back in the early 90s. They cost like $150. Now, back in 2010, you could buy them for $20. It's whatever the market is willing to pay for these things. That's what they're worth, and that's literally been our lives forever. It's a speculative world. So an artist could actually become famous now, and there are ones, again, people.
Right, just came out of nowhere.
$69 million, right? Guys, far from dead.
Well, I only mentioned that in an example because this is generally again, layman's terms, is because generally when you're dead, the value of your art goes up. Now, what has just been clearly communicated that your value of your art can go up while you could fully appreciate it. You don't have to die and you don't have to wait till those really, big extremes. And it's the only reason why. Now, here's the interesting thing, going back to the dead component, is that the concept is that when you die, you cannot produce any more works of art. So they all become limited edition by de facto. With NFT, because it's non-fungible token,
it's
fungible. I'm Dominican, so I keep saying things weird. Non-fungible token, and what essentially that means is that it's every piece is one of one. So every piece of work is an original, right? So it's like you're selling a bunch of individual. I can't even say individual Mona Lisas because that's even wrong. It's just every single piece.
It could be individual, and they also could be a collection of 100 pieces. So those are still non-fungible. Those are still non-fungible tokens. It's just a collection of 100 non-fungible tokens. So theoretically, the token is unique, but the art could actually be the exact same in a collection that looks exactly the same. I've actually bought works from 100 collections of exactly the same piece of art, just minted on. Each one of them are separate mints on the blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain. So it could literally be a one-of-one because it's a unique token, but the art does not have to be unique, actually.
Nice. So just doing a quick reset for the people that might join us, that just joined us, or joined before we started. My name is Jose Limane. I run Monetize Monday. It is a Twitter Spaces all about how creators can monetize their brand. We have a special guest today who's talking about NFTs, who has a long experience in this journey, helping artists leverage NFTs. If you go to the Nest, the pinned tweets at the top, you're going to notice his credentials. We're not going to go over it right now. Just go through that. The information is there. I will like to ask for those people that are enjoying this conversation, look at that last tweet that I have here on the Nest and reshare that to your network. I think this is a very valuable conversation that we're having. I know there's a bunch of NFT discussions and crypto discussions, but we're focusing primarily on creators. We're focusing primarily on how you could leverage this immediately. There's obviously more than could be learned outside of the 2-hour time frame that we have, but at least at the very least, you get a basic understanding so that you could have a much more detailed discussion or know exactly what to look for specifically. And you also get the opportunity to connect with Lucas, follow him, connect with him. He has a free course that just goes through the fundamentals of NFTs and beyond. And he's worked on a lot of projects, and possibly, I'm not sure if his business model also has him work with other artists. Do you have that business model where if an artist wants to put out an NFT, you would help them out?
Absolutely. I actually have. There's someone in the audience right now. His name is his artist name is Art Freak.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
we have a collaboration going on right now where we're basically he worked on the piece, and I'm helping him just distribute it and get the word out. And it's really great. I actually work with I've worked with almost everybody in this space that I recognize. I see Richie, The Creep, Art Freak, Cyberpunk. There's everybody. I mean, all these folks I've actually helped and worked with.
Perfect. 100%. Great testimonials. And what we'll do with the latter part, if people are interested, I want to bring up some of these artists to talk about their experience from the artist creator standpoint, because I think it's important, because we talk about these things. And this is why I'm very careful not to jump ahead and talk very minting and all these other terms, just because there's so much to learn. and it's evolving as well. So I want to bring those people up. Let's first finish this discussion with Lucas, and then I want to have
Sure.
a much more in-depth perspective. So Lucas, I see you. I mean, Arfi, I do see you there. I definitely want to bring you up. So, but let me just hold off for the moment so that we could get a clear understanding, because we have a good 2 hours. We could let this breathe. There's a lot of these new concepts, and I want people to really fully understand as creators. Now, when I say creator, that doesn't necessarily mean just artwork. Is this correct? It could be, say, a podcast, or it could be other media types. Is this correct, Lucas?
Yeah, you could put music on the blockchain, video. You could do images. You could also use blockchain technology. Um, right now, you could actually use blockchain technology to store in real world stuff, like basically proof of ownership or provenance on the blockchain. So again, people are doing tickets with blockchains. They're using the tokens for tickets and access to communities. There's so many things that NFTs actually can do. So it's amazing. Right now, music is actually kind of blowing up as well. There's a couple of people in the music space, especially the rapper, the first CryptoPunk first, and the rapper basically second. Spotty Wi-Fi dropped his album actually on the blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain, and he sold out very, very quickly. And he's an amazing, amazing rapper. I just would recommend anybody to check him out. Also, Spotty Wi-Fi. He is the king of the CryptoPunks. So, original CryptoPunk holder. And yeah, that's just one of them. There's a bunch of people that are being very successful in that space right now, music-wise.
And
So
what we
that's going on.
and what we could do is maybe possibly do a collaboration where you could highlight all these places, and I could share it with all these creators, because as creators we need examples of like
Yeah.
how to do it and
I'll
these
create
types
a
of
thread
things.
for this, actually.
Perfect.
Create a tweet thread that will
Perfect.
actually say, here's an example of music, here's an example of video, here's an example of
Podcast.
some great photography, here's
Right.
an example of some great just like original art that's not photography. Here's, because we got all sorts of art forms here. Like down below, I see Richie. He's an amazing astrophotographer from New Zealand. I mean, he is amazing. Like his art is amazing, and he's just amazing photographs. So very unique stuff.
Yeah,
so
and
yeah, there's so much stuff that goes on here. So
because I know there's some podcasters here. There's very talented individuals, and I think learning these fundamentals could help. There. When as a creator, you're always looking for these revenue streams, and you're putting a lot of work into honing in on your craft, and to be able to sell this original podcast, even in a sense where it's not the sharpest. Right, it's going back to that original piece of art that you sell for like $100. It's like, okay, I'm becoming better. You could own the first one, and you see that I'm developing my skills, so it's going to go up in value speculatively and things of that nature. So I want people to really start understanding that as a creator, this is an opportunity for you to leverage this. And we're still early adopters, just like we're early adopters on Twitter Spaces. I know we've been on for several months, but Twitter Spaces isn't even a year old. Right?
Yep.
So
true. Yep.
we are all here writing multiple early adopting waves, and what's fantastic about this, and this is something that's extremely compelling, and you could provide more details to clarify, but generally speaking, opportunities like this were only provided to institutions, right? They would, when you think of, for example, an IPO, right? There's always, you have to be an accredited investor to go in, and you have to go through this process, and then they get the product at the cheapest, and then it goes IPO, and then the general public gets it, and then there's these institutions that buy a blockchain, all this stuff, right? All massiveness. But now you could go in and invest in these things independently, right? You don't need a major corporation. You can start doing it little by little by little, and
that's absolutely true. Yeah, cryptocurrency in general allows people the access that large institutions had. Allows retail investors to actually have after hours trading, 24/7 trading into cryptocurrency markets, where the regular traditional market closes. It's on a whatever the stock market opens and closes. That's the only time you can trade, and only large institutions had the access
to after hour trade. Right.
Paid large amounts of money just to have after hours trading access. Where this cryptocurrency allows anybody, retail investors, all retail investors, to have after hours 24/7. You can trade crypto at 3 in the morning. You can trade crypto at 3 in the afternoon. It doesn't matter. You could always be trading cryptocurrency, investing, selling it, basically earning dividends from it, all that stuff in terms of like selling and basically turning a profit. So yeah,
And
that's what it does. It empowers us.
not only that, but it's timeless because you have a global market. It's not subject to the Northeast time zone. It's the global time frame. And
cryptocurrency doesn't also have, like you just said, it's global. Bitcoin is global, people trading it.
Yeah, so this is like unbelievable.
It's global, people are trading it. This is no banks that are controlling it or anything like that. Someone could be in Africa trading Bitcoin or Ethereum or Doge at any time of the day while we're trading it at the same time. It's literally it's global currency. It could actually end up being a global currency that we actually all put value on and use.
Correct.
It's illegal in some countries, but people still find a way of using it.
Right. So let's step back again. So we talked about Bitcoin. We talked about it. It's like gold. We're not going to have that discussion about Bitcoin. Go on to a variety of different sources to get more information about Bitcoin. We're talking to NFTs. And in order to talk about NFTs, we talk about Ethereum because Ethereum is where the majority or all of the NFTs are stored.
Ethereum, there's a bunch of other chains.
But the bulk is Ethereum, like 90% or something.
Yeah, I would say Ethereum is the king of NFTs right now, but there are other chains that are coming out right now that are trying to make the gas fees and stuff like that go down. So yeah, absolutely.
Great. And we'll talk about gas fees later. That's a whole nother situation. Again, these terms, I know we basically understand them, but I just want to make sure everybody gets a sense of, we'll get to gas fees later. We'll get to minting in just a second. Let's talk about Ethereum. Let's talk about how does it relate to Bitcoin? Like, if you were to describe it, what is the high level perspective of like what is Ethereum?
Ethereum, to me at least, is another store of value, but also a transactional currency that you could actually use. The chain itself could be used to store not just information, like not just basically transactional hash. You could actually store information on the token itself. Where Bitcoin, I mean, I think it can now, but it never really did before. It's literally used as like currency, where Ethereum can actually store data like NFTs inside the token. So information that actually stores, again, images and music and video and all that stuff. So Ethereum is also a store of wealth as well, though, because it's literally, I mean, right now I'm not sure what the exact value is, but it's like $3,800 to own one coin of Ethereum. So it's definitely, I would say, if there was gold is the Bitcoin, I would say Ethereum is silver, and quickly becoming, I would say, it has a chance of like actually beating out Bitcoin eventually at some point. It's just my opinion, at least.
Right. So, and again, this is not financial advice. This is all informational. And I want to make sure that that's clear. I also want to make sure and to clarify that the fundamental difference from what I understand is that not only is it this kind of currency component, but in Ethereum, when you mint the NFT, you're minting also the contract in addition to that. So that becomes one entity together, which is what we talked about before.
It's just a record that ties to whatever data you're storing on that token. That record basically proves it's proof of ownership. So when you go and mint something, it's basically proving you own something and it's minted forever on the blockchain. And until you exchange that contract with somebody else, that is yours forever. And it basically shows like who's owned it forever too. So
from the beginning, from when it's minted and everything else, it's all a detailed ledger that's public that you could go and OpenSeas is one of the networks.
All the transactions, see who owned it originally, watch everybody who, like every single transaction where it exchanged hands, you could see it go all the way through. So anybody that ever has an idea that cryptocurrency or blockchain technology is not traceable or trackable, it's actually more trackable than anything we've ever used for currency in the world. So anybody that goes, hey, people are using it to do nefarious things, Yeah, but it's way more difficult and very unlikely to not be tracked.
Right.
So you'd be more likely to be able to do that with fiat currency or just the dollar, like American dollars, or any kind of currency that's not digitally tracked the way it is on a ledger on like blockchain. So
Right.
that's why blockchain is so secure.
Okay. And
so trackable.
And Ethereum started in October 14th. It looks like I'm going back to the Google price range, October 14th. It's almost celebrating its birthday, 2016.
October 14th of 2016. Yeah.
And then what's amazing is that the bulk of the revenue, the increase in the value has occurred within essentially, it looks like the end this year. The bulk of the increase happened at like December. It started to climb at like March 2020, but the spike started to happen around the December timeframe. And right now,
its all-time high, over $4,000 Ethereum. You're talking about the price of Ethereum?
Yeah, so we're looking at like May 7th. It looks like it was 3,900 was the max of this year, and right now we're at 3,252. Just informational stuff. This is like, again, just informational for people to know. Now what explain when you see a NFT and it's at 0.33 Ethereum. Why do you do that? Just so that people understand when they see these like fractional components of an NFT. Could you let especially the creators know why you would want to do that? And
why you would price an NFT at 0.33?
Correct. Or why would you give it like a fraction? Just so that people are aware of what's happening, because there's two different pieces. There's the pre-sale, then there's minting. Can you kind of explain that in conjunction with this prices, so that people get a sense of when they see this is like, why is it 0.3? Why is it 0.7? Like, what's the reasoning behind that?
Sure. I'll talk about pricing first. Pricing is just, pricing goes across any product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's its own beast. Pricing anything. There's like tons of books and everything out there, and I'm kind of like, I've been a pricing guy since 2004. Like I've been studying like how to price things and do it the right way. So this is not new to like blockchain. It's just like, hey, where do I start pricing my pieces so that they start getting purchased? And then you slowly ratchet up the price until the market doesn't bear that price out, or it's hard to sell to people. Just like any product in the world, as soon as you increase the price too much, people stop buying it, and you lower the price a little bit, and you find that sweet spot. Eventually, all these artists that are actually in here or outside of this space right now will find their sweet spot to launch their pricing and then slowly ratchet it up, because, just like anything else, prices should go up. And because the cost of doing business goes up, because of inflation and all that other stuff that goes with pricing. So if you want to start off selling your art and you think it's amazing, I would, again, it's different strategies for different people, depending on how skilled or how much like people put value on your art. I would say starting your art out at a certain price is a smart move in some cases, and starting it like at a high price and starting it out as a low price, depending on how many people know you, how big is your distribution channels, like how good is your art to some people. Do you have an audience already sitting there waiting for your art? If you're building an audience and you're brand new, you should probably start your prices lower until you start building an audience of collectors, of 1,000 true fans that you can then start selling your art to. So that's what I'm saying. Pricing could literally be a 2-hour discussion,
right,
in itself. So, but when it comes to like pricing art for NFTs, again, if you're a new artist, I would highly recommend starting it off at a price that you might not think is a good price for you, but let's just test the water, see where it's at. Do not start it at 0.3. I wouldn't. If I was an artist, I would start at like 0.05 or 0.02 or wherever Ethereum to see, okay, that went fast. That item sold within 5 minutes or less, maybe 60 seconds, because you had 10 people waiting there to buy it. You didn't know that. A lot of people talk about buying things on the internet, especially on Twitter, and they say, "Oh, you could tweet out. You could have hundreds of thousands of followers, and you could say, hey guys, I'm going to release something. Doesn't matter what the product is. Could be NFTs, could be anything. and you could say, I'm going to release this. Would that be something you're interested in? Everybody could be like, yes, 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 yes. I want it. I want it. I want it. Release it. I'll buy it. And as soon as you release it, crickets.
Right.
So that's not a good demand gauge. What a good demand gauge is, pre-selling something or putting something out there at a lower price just to see if someone bites. If someone bites, then you know, wow. And then if you get a message or 10 messages saying, man, I missed your piece of art, I missed your photograph, I missed whatever you're doing. Wow, you have 10 messages on top of that other 11th message that's the person who bought it. So you're like, wow, there's 10 people out there that want my art. Okay, cool. So now I can release my next piece of art. Instead of at 0.05, I'm going to put it at 0.06. Let's see what happens. If it's snatched up, you just slowly ratchet up the price as you keep building an audience, communicating, coming into spaces like this, talking to people, creating relationships, because people like to buy from other people who have a good story to tell. If there's a good story behind your art or product, people want to buy when they feel invested in you as an artist or as a business person in general. If you have a product, a digital product, or a hard, dirigible product of some kind that you're trying to sell, like maybe it's merch, maybe it's a SaaS software. It doesn't really matter what it actually is. If you can tell a good story, you can actually find an audience that wants it, and then when they connect with your product, you could just sell all day long. And again, 1,000 true fans is all you really need.
So so let's again step back to kind of reset the space. Again, this is Monetize Monday. My name is Jose Limane. I talk about how creators can monetize their brand on social media. We have a guest today, Lucas, who has a long line of history and success helping artists monetize their brands by using NFTs. It's one channel to not only distribute, but primarily sell their art. And we're going into detail as to how you as a creator can look at NFTs as a possible way to, infuse your brand with not only revenue, but also brand recognition, those types of things. We're currently talking about pricing so that you're aware of, how things flow. What I specifically wanted to talk about is that when certain NFTs are released, they have this fraction. And the reason why that fraction exists is because the price of Ethereum, which is the
crazy amounts of money, copious amounts of money. It's like $3,000, and a lot of folks can't afford a complete 1 unit of Ethereum.
Right.
Now, if Ethereum was $100 or $50 or $200, that would be a lot easier to price something at like 1 Ethereum. But being an accomplished artist takes some time to start selling as NFTs.
Correct. So right now the price of 1 Ethereum is $3,252.16. So this is why when you see it, it's like 0.003. That's a couple $100. You could get into it and those types of things. So I just wanted to be clear. So when people start seeing like these fractions of a number, it's like what's going on here? That it's because the value of Ethereum is extremely high, and just like Lucas mentioned, for the most, the majority of the retail inventors, they don't have this type of moneyable, liquid money to use to buy this type of thing. So I want to step back also and talk about this process of minting and pre-sale, because I think that's a very vital thing, because I know that there's a pre-sale price and then there's a minting price. Can you go over that for the creators out there so that they're familiar with this process?
Yeah, in terms of pre-sale price, I'm not really sure what you're referring to in that case. If you're talking about like bidding or something, I don't know, but you have to mint something before you pre-sell anything. So if you want to mint something, you that's cool. But it's if you're trying to like build up an audience, build up some hype around something, that could actually build up this anticipation of you minting and what's called dropping your art. If you do that correctly, your art will be bought very, very, very quickly.
So let's talk
to create this sense of urgency, because you have a limited collection. Limited collections have a sense. If you build up like your marketing strategy around this and create enough hype and also fear of missing out, or what they call FOMO, that's the key of actually selling out your art. But also, you actually have to be a talented artist, and you also not only do you have to be a talented artist, you actually have to find the audience that's interested in your unique form of art.
Right.
That's one of the most important pieces, is finding the audience, because you could be an amazing photographer, but it might not resonate with the audience you currently have. You have to go out and find an audience that likes like type art that you are producing.
Correct.
And then communicate and make friends with those people, share your story, get to know them, create a relationship so that then when you do drop your art, whatever kind of art it is, you have that built-in audience that's ready to buy your art after you mint it and drop it.
All right. So let's talk about what is minting and what is dropping. Very high level terms, or very,
no problem.
So that people get familiar with these terms. So what is minting? What is dropping?
So minting your art is basically just taking your piece of art and minting it onto a token, basically tokenizing your art onto Ethereum's blockchain.
Okay.
So it basically creates it. You can't change it after it's minted either. So you're basically putting into the description of what your art is. You're taking your art, you're putting in the metadata on it, like any kind of like attributes or traits that go with it, and then you're literally minting that piece of art onto the token onto the Ethereum blockchain. And how dropping your art is once you've minted, you then drop it by putting it on sale. You say, hey, you can either buy it now or you basically launch your art as a auction. Those are the two good ways of doing it. And that's not the only two ways, but that's the majority of the ways people actually do minting and dropping of art.
How long does it take to mint?
It's auction or buy it now type.
Okay. How long does it take to mint?
Did you say how long does it
take to mint?
Correct. To mint? Oh, it takes literally seconds.
Okay, so it's a very fast process to mint. And then an auction house, is it like an OpenSea? Is OpenSea the proper?
OpenSea is like a basically not. I wouldn't say it's an auction house. I would actually say it's a marketplace.
Okay.
OpenSea is a marketplace. Foundation is a marketplace. Hicketnunk is a marketplace. Rarible is a marketplace. Rarible, and Super Rare. There's a bunch of marketplaces out there that actually you can take advantage of to list your art.
And why one marketplace over another? What types of things should people consider when looking into minting and then putting their tokens on these marketplaces?
I would say, to me at least, the ones that have the largest audiences and that are the easiest to mint on are probably a good place to start if you're new into the NFT space. So now if you have a built-in audience and you're already an artist that's outside in the real world already selling your art, like real physical copies of your art, and you already have a built-in audience that are willing to buy your art, you could actually go right on into selling your art very quickly and also onto a different types of marketplaces because you're already a very well-known artist and they've already invited you to these other platforms that are a little bit more exclusive and also take a higher percentage from you because they're just looked at as, kind of like the gold standard of being an artist right now in the community. Okay. But OpenSea is probably the best place to start because of the audience that's there and the ease of minting. And like I said, it's just an easier place to navigate and get started. There are other places, don't get me wrong. It's just that I think, again, opinions only, not financial advice, but OpenSea for sure, I would say is the best spot. Now, if you have very little money, there's other alternatives to that, like Hicketnunk or what they call Hen, and they run off a different blockchain completely, which is Tezos. So that's for another time. But there are definitely, if I was an artist and I was taking this very seriously and I started on OpenSea, I would eventually move on to every one of these platforms, have a beachhead, at least your profile and some of your art, not the exact same art, of course, because then it wouldn't be a one-of-one.
Right.
I would put art on different platforms to make sure you have coverage because you should bring your art to the audience, not your art, try to make your audience go to the art. Because then you're making them work for your art, and that's not how it works.
So for the people that are in the space right now, there's a link to OpenSea. They actually had a Twitter space today at 2:20 EST. So look for them to do other Twitter spaces to give you a sense of what their marketplace is all about. You speak to artists that post there so that you start again educating yourself on how to best leverage this NFT opportunity to really grow your brand, grow your product visibility, and things of that nature. So we talked about a variety of different things. We're focusing primarily on the NFT non-fungible token. and not a blockchain. It's all based off cryptocurrency. Now we have some artists that we're going to bring up that have worked with Lucas, and we're going to talk to them just pretty soon. I do want to mention that, as you see from my avatar, I am actually working on an NFT project. It is for llamas. So I actually we're giving away an NFT. So if you go to the link at the top of the space now, you could register to for a chance to win a free NFT that we're publishing out. It's coming up in the next week. More details are going to happen after the space. I just want people to be aware of that. As you see, my avatar has changed because in the next couple of weeks, this is what I'm going to be focusing on, is helping launch this product. Now, we did talk about something very valuable, Lucas, which is developing your community. And again, we just happen to be on a platform, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lucas. But Twitter happens to be one of the most vibrant communities to bring visibility to your project, as well as Discord. Those two platforms seem to be extremely valuable in cultivating a community of 1,000 true fans or more. Is this correct, or do you have another perspective on this?
No, that's correct. The NFT space, the cryptocurrency space, but specifically the NFT space, absolutely 100% lives on Twitter and lives on Discord. Those two platforms are the dominant players in this space. And what's cool about what we're doing right here in Spaces is that Spaces is an audio platform set on top of a social network that has network effects. So you could actually build your network if you know how to use the algorithm and, create distribution partnerships and make friends and connections and network your way to creating distribution for your art. This is why Twitter is such a powerful tool to build community around your art. The commonality of owning your art creates community. While you see me wearing this Mutant Bored Ape, I'm part of the Mutant Ape Yacht Club, right? So at the end of the day, another Mutant Ape and I will have something in common instantly. And that's what humanity is always looking for anyway, is commonality, something to relate to each other with. And that creates an easier way to network with people. You have instantly something in common.
So this is for the Twitter Spaces community. This is specifically why we are currently seeing an overwhelming amount of Twitter Spaces dedicated to this concept of NFTs, because this community is already built on a strong level of relationship. So then they all want to get together and talk about this connection that they all have in investing into these various projects. And they're all predominantly supporting artists at the end of the day. So artists having historically been known, and there's already a well-known saying, which is a starving artist, right? So what is happening right now, what we're witnessing before our own eyes, is that whole concept of a starving artist is quickly going outside the window. And if you're a great artist, you can now capitalize on your craft, your skill, the talent that you've been given to really monetize that, and live this lifestyle and dedicate more time to your your craft. And there's other things that we're not even going to be able to touch upon, like things like the metaverse and other components that you could add on to your NFTs. Is that a correct statement, Lucas?
That's correct. The thing that I want to make sure that's clear is that it doesn't instantly make you a non-starving artist. You have to know how to market and network. And for a lot of artists, they're introverted folks, and introverts are amazing people, but sometimes they have a hard time communicating with people. And that's where these spaces come into an amazing, a powerful tool, because they get to come up and practice all day, every day, in my spaces at least, for sure, talking about their art, trying to build networking and connections so that they actually can create these relationships where people will come and buy their art eventually. Because it doesn't, just because you have access to the internet and the ability to mint your art, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to sell your art instantly. You actually have to find your audience, find your tribe that's on here that likes your style of art, make friends, make relationships, create a great narrative and partnership with these folks, with your soon-to-be collectors. And once they're invested in your story and your art, they are 100 times more likely to purchase from you, and they're betting on you. Back in the old days, I have to bring this piece up because this is a perfect analogy. Beethoven was supported by rich patrons.
Wealthy. Yeah.
He couldn't have done his amazing works of music, right? There's no way he could have created his symphonies without the patronage of his
Genius.
rich benefactors, right?
Yeah.
So that's how this works. He went out and had to actually intermingle with certain people in society and create relationships. That's what this is. Creating relationships on this grassroots level, coming into our spaces, talking, communicating, finding people. We sell art all day long in my spaces. People come in, talk about their art, and all of a sudden there's collectors from the audience that buy it instantly right there.
And the beautiful thing about both of our backgrounds is we have a marketing and tech background. So it's a little bit unfair for us because we're so used to talking about this promotion and we have a good understanding of the technology. And that is these two secret components. And you are correct. Just because you were a starving artist and you're minting your NFT does not necessarily guarantee any type of success unless you cultivate a community, have a good marketing strategy, marketing team, so on and so forth, in order for this to, just like any business, marketing and promotions is an essential component. So it's very valuable for people to understand.
The example I have to use, by the way, too, and I minted my first NFT in October of 2020, just to see the process and feel how it felt to mint an NFT. It went nowhere. It didn't sell because I didn't market it. I didn't do anything with it. I just minted it, saw it, and I was just like, let's see what happens without me doing anything to it. And guess what? It didn't sell. Simple as that.
And he's a marketer. Yeah.
I did it on purpose just to see, like, hey, is there somewhere here where someone's going to notice this being minted, or are they going to find it through discovery tools on the site I minted it on? Is there, through search, whatever it is on their platform? Nope. If you don't market, if you don't get up there and talk about it, if you don't get up there and, tweet about it and create community around your basically find your audience, find your 1,000 true fans, find your just one true fan to start with. That one true fan turns into two turns into five turns into 10 turns into 50 turns into 100. It's a compounding effect of audience building. And I think in these spaces is an amazing, like I said, an amazing tool to create that. And then when you have that audience, you port them over onto your Discord channel so that when it's time, you get to have your audience all communicating and sharing their experiences with your art in a nice gated community in a way inside of your community. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Use them both.
And for those unfamiliar with Discord, it's essentially Slack for geeks is the way I tend to describe it. It's pretty much it's an app. It's a desktop application as well. And you go in and there's you can look at it like 3 different columns.
Originally made for gaming. So it was originally made so that you could actually chat on there, text chat and audio chat, so that you could actually play video games with each other and stuff like that. It's been taken over by the NFT space in amazing ways, and I actually think it's more useful for NFT artists to build community than actually video games to build community right now, just because it's just such an amazing tool. It's been appropriated by the NFT space, and it's, like I said, it's just a undeniable useful tool. So you can't really, you can do your art without it. I just say when you have especially when you have 10,000 collections or 1,000 collections, or you have a big audience, you should bring it onto your own user experience inside of a Discord, so you can actually kind of custom tailor to what your audience wants to see and feel and how they want to communicate. You can actually custom tailor more than this kind of constrained way of communicating on spaces. So, and it's also a little bit more private.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is that there's sections that you could have. It's a more community-based feel, because you could have frequently asked questions, timelines, things like that. Now going back
multiple channels.
Exactly.
There's tons of channels you can put on it. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
going with terms, they're called servers. For whatever reason, this is what they call them. So you're joining a server. You could join a Discord server for a variety of different things. There's various ones. And again, a reminder: if you're unfamiliar with who I am, my name is Jose Limane. I am the host of Monetize Monday, every Monday, 3 to 5 Eastern Time. I talk to various founders and creators that are sharing information on how you, as a creator, can monetize your brand on social media. This week, we're talking about NFTs. We have Lucas, who has a long history of being able to help others in minting their NFT, putting their artwork online, and being able to generate revenue from that. I'm also working on an NFT project for the llama. So if you go to the last tweet that I have pinned on the nest, we're giving away some NFTs. So sign up and be part of that movement. You're going to hear a lot more information from me regarding what that really means. It's actually launching next week, so you're in early, which is great. And there's again going to be a lot of momentum on Twitter. There's already a Discord channel that we or server that we have running. So when you sign up for the free NFT, you're going to be provided with the link to the Discord, and you're going to see a lot of activity there. We have over 1,000 plus people there, and we just are finding some great momentum. It's phenomenal. So
is that a 10,000 project, Maya? Is that what it is?
I don't think it is. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So let's start kind of finishing this off. I want to bring in some of the artists.
Just an FYI, if it's launching next week, you should probably know how many avatars you're creating with the llamas. So it's like,
oh yeah,
I'm 1,000, a 1,000, a 5,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta touch back into, because I'm part of the launching, but it's going so quickly and blah blah blah. So I'm there's actually a meeting right now while I'm having this Twitter space about like some of these details. So that's what I mean. When I'm gonna start sharing all this information as of today, so that people are aware, and I'm a little bit more clear. So great question. I'm super excited about it. I got brought in because of social and Twitter and these Twitter spaces. So I'm going to host a lot more of these things as we're going through this launch process. So so we talked about the background. We talked about NFT, how it's been developed. We talked about the minting. Now let's talk about something that's extremely impressed me about these projects is the backstory and also timeline. Whenever I go to like the Sevens, Junkyard Dogs, various other projects, I'm not, and I'm sure the CryptoPunks had this, but there's just always this like elaborate storyline. There's always this like, we're gonna do this in Q1, Q2, Q3, and this whole beautiful thing. In your experience, how important is that? And have you seen a project launch without that?
Without
A storyline and things like that. I think it's critical, but
no product ever launching without a storyline or a narrative behind it, a good story is ever going to be really, I would say, that successful, unless you already have a built-in audience base who knows you, so that you can actually sell your art to those folks already. So that's the idea, and there's always a story behind every piece, regardless if it's a one-of-one or it's a 10,000 collection. You have to create a good storyline for people to actually get involved. You also actually have to have a bit like a plan of what you're especially with the 10,000 project, of like, hey, what am I going to do with the money afterwards? Am I creating a DAO? What's that DAO going to do? Is it going to be royalties, money back on top, from collecting the royalties? Are we going to pay it back to the token holders or the, basically the avatar holders? There's so much to these projects. And then there's others that are just ones of one artists that are literally just selling their art, and you're betting on the artists' work, or you just like their art, and it's just amazing. And you hear the story behind how they took like a photograph or created some digital art of their own, and the story behind that piece, and you buy into the story and the artist, and you first of all always gotta like the art first.
Correct.
It's always about the art, and it's secondarily it's the story that goes with it, and then it's you're buying into the artist and buying into like how their future and just their story, because I would be investing in, like, let's just say again, like Richie or Marvelous Below or Pixel Lord. I know their stories, or Art Freak. I know their stories, so they're amazing artists. They've got so much going on for them, and just getting to know them has just been a pleasure. And so anyway.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of these Twitter spaces is all about, is just getting and connecting with these artists, finding out about their projects, what do they have next. It gives you that much more depth to, not only the individuals but also the community that are encouraging themselves to really put themselves out there. And I just notice a lot of the acknowledgement of the people that are in the spaces talking about, like, congratulations, you just launched it today, blah blah blah. It's a phenomenal thing. I don't want to, again, because we name drop and we talk terms a lot. Just want to be clear. Can you explain for those people that don't know what a DAO is?
Yeah, basically a DAO is kind of like you're investing in a system that has it's kind of like a fund.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say you create a DAO and you say 50% of the revenue raised through these pieces are going to go into a DAO. That DAO then is controlled by the founding team, and sometimes it's also controlled by the token holders, and they allow people to vote on what they intend to do with that money in terms of investing. Some DAOs actually take that money, and basically every person that has a token or a piece of art or avatar has a vote on how they're actually going to spend that money or invest that money. Some go and invest in original CryptoPunks, and then whatever money they make in terms of that CryptoPunk going up in value, let's just say it goes up in value by 40% in 1 month, they then divvy out that 40% to those token holders as kind of like a royalty. So it's different ways of doing it, but in theory, it's just giving back to the people who actually invested in the project to begin with. Kind of like investing in a startup.
Right.
All the people that are investing, or even in a stock that pays dividends, right? If you invest in a startup and all of a sudden the company starts doing well and you have preferred stock, you can get paid back for having that company do well. Same thing with the dividends of a stock. If that company does well, you get a great example is Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Apple stock pays dividends. So you actually get a little percentage back every quarter. In this case, it's monthly. Usually it's a monthly. Sometimes it's up to a year. It depends on what you want to do with it. But DAOs are usually used to benefit the community that they actually built. So that's what it is. It's basically to help that community and also help the organization that started that avatar project stay in business, hire, create new things, new products to keep the community engaged, so they can actually airdrop new products to them, basically new art that could be valuable in the future to keep that community engaged in the project, and also to reward the original token holders. You were the one who was supporting this business in the first place, because in theory it's a business. These are all little businesses that then become large businesses, especially when they sell out. So it's basically them supporting you after you supported them. That's usually how it works.
Perfect. And last term before we go to Art Freak, airdrop.
Sure.
Explain what that is.
It's basically what's going on with that is that people have wallet addresses of the original holders. They have a list of those. They actually know who they are, and they basically just airdrop them, or just because they have their wallet addresses, they could transfer art assets to them or other tokens to them into their wallets without them even having to ask, because they have their wallet addresses.
So
if I have your wallet address, here's a great example. If I have your wallet address right now, I could airdrop, or just, you call it airdropping, but I could just mint a new piece of art and send it to you via the Ethereum or Polygon or any of these blockchain networks. I could transfer a token into that address and then goes into your wallet. Even without your permission, I could drop a token into your wallet. You can't stop me from doing it.
So
But why would I do that, right? Yeah. But why would I do that? Because it costs me money. Only the people that usually support you would you want to airdrop things into their wallet, right? And that's what keeps people in the community engaged. They're like, oh man, I'm holding this amazing piece of art, and wow, it went up in value. And not only that, not only did it go up in value, but now they're airdropping me or sending me to my wallet. All it is really they're minting new things, sending it to my wallet. On top of that, sending it to that's how they keep their community engaged. And another way of doing it is an artist like Icky or Art Freak or Pixel Lord or Richie or Marvos. Like these guys are, some of them they do one-on-one pieces of art. They will say, hey, you know what? You supported my piece of art. So I'm going to, the 10 people that first bought my first 10 pieces, my first 10, piece collection or one-of-ones that I released, because they're all one-of-one uniques. I'm going to drop, or I keep saying drop, but I'm going to send to your wallets a thank you piece or token of art to you, because you are my original backers. You are my original fans, my original 10 fans that now I have 1,000 fans, but you were the ones who supported me originally. I'm giving back to you because you gave to me. That's what that is.
So even though we're talking NFTs, we've been talking about communities for a couple of months now. We've actually started this whole movement, this Monetize Monday, because of the concept of a tip jar and monetization within Twitter. So airdrop is essentially a form of like tipping to a certain degree, or to the tip jar that we have here on Twitter, but it's really meant for to kind of solidify this community, to grow the community and things of that nature. So there's so much to unpack here. Hopefully this has been extremely enlightening, especially for new creators and artists to have, like an initial introduction into this world. I know that there's so much to discover, so much to really, learn. We might have another, maybe another 101 or maybe a 201 section if you're open to it in the future, because I think this is very valuable for creators to know. So what I want to do with this last half hour is really start talking to some of the artists that work with you. We have Art Freak right now, and if there's any other artists that are down below, go ahead.
I would like to bring up Icky, Art Freak, Pixel Lord, Richie, and Marvos. Like all of those guys should at least have a little chance to talk here, because I've definitely made great relationships with them. I consider them family, like literally family, first friends, and then now I feel like they're my family. So I think they should have a little bit of a voice here.
Perfect. And for those people that don't know, this is actually being recorded. It's being streamed. It's being going to be part of a podcast. So just acknowledge that when you grab the mic, it's being recorded for the podcast. So if you're cool with that, that's great. This is why I put the red circles at the very top. Icky, welcome. Art Freak, welcome. I'm going to bring up Rich. Thank you very much. So we're going to start off with Art Freak because he's been waiting the longest. So Art Freak, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for inviting me to speak. Thanks, Lucas, for introducing me. And I'm fine. I'm doing fine.
And before we proceed, if you guys are really liking this, I would really appreciate if you go to that last tweet that I have in the nest, just retweet it. These are artists, and I want to make sure that we support our creators. It's less about me. I just want to hear their stories, and I think their stories need to be shared. So if you could do me a favor, go to the last tweet, just retweet it, just bring more people here, just so they hear their story, find out what they're all about, and let's all support each other in this movement. So I greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much. Icky, how are you doing? Welcome.
Hi, how are you? No, thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to hear Lucas talking with you and expanding, the space. It's very important for others to hear about what's going on within this domain, this new art renaissance, and the opportunity for everybody in some capacity, whether you be a conventional, traditional creative with kind of commercial creative experience, or someone that's always enjoyed some form of creativity, as a hobby, or even just someone that likes technology and wants to innovate and explore. And I think it's really important that we continue to expand the marketplace, right? And we do that by talking, right, and having discourse with the community and other people outside the community, and sharing what a fabulous opportunity this is at such an early stage. So I'm thrilled to have accidentally stumbled in on this room and heard what's going on. So yeah, absolutely a pleasure to be here, and happy to answer any questions if that's of any value to anyone.
Oh, fantastic. And one of the most beautiful things about Twitter Spaces is just the international audience. And every time I hear someone's unique accent, it's fantastic. So I really appreciate your time. Extremely eloquent, very well spoken. Like this is like amazing. Like I want to just see if you could transfer your voice into some sort of art form. I'll buy that NFT. So fantastic.
It's funny that you said that. We talk
best voices on the planet.
So calm and relaxed. I'm like, oh my God. All right. So next thing is Pixel Lord. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Oh, hello. I'm doing great. Yeah, really good. I've been listening to the show, and I didn't know that there is a podcast. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we're
Thanks
on live
for doing
streaming
that.
as well.
Thanks for inviting me to speak.
Yes, well, thank you for joining. So let's do a quick intro, and then I just want to get a sense of like everyone's experience with NFT. So I first want to just do the intro. So the next we have is Richie Two Mills. Is that how you best pronounce your name?
Hey, yeah, it's Richie Tor Mills.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, those are my three real names. So I'll basically using my real names on Twitter. Yeah, this is a great space. It's great to be here. If you're down in the bottom and you want to learn more about NFTs, definitely start following Lucas. He's actually got a course on NFTs. I've done it. I checked it out. Him and a good friend of his, Amy, who is they've all been great supporters of mine and helped me on my journey. And yeah, it's great to be up here. Just feel free to ask any questions. Yeah.
Appreciate you being here. And last but not least, we have Marvus. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, pretty much you could say Marvels. The first name is Marvin. Nice to meet you.
Nice to have you here. Thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone's time. Whether you knew about it, stumble upon it, you guys are definitely the future, and I'm humbled that everybody was able to, come through and just, share your experience in this process. And thank you, Lucas, for bringing them all about. So I'm going to start off with Art Freak. So, Art Freak, how did you get involved with NFTs? Could you talk about the experience? Was it like, did Lucas introduce you to it? How did you tell us your NFT story, please?
Thanks. So I start off with introducing myself as an artist. If the journey before NFT.
Mhm.
So I'm not a full-time artist. I am an IT engineer in India. So I'm from India, and I developed this hobby when I was studying in college, and I started learning Photoshop at first and doing some artworks on Instagram, posting there as a fun, like not for making money, anything like that. So it was been almost 3 years since I was doing that before NFT came into the picture. So I was just doing some collaborative work for like some brands and everything. And then later I heard people were going into this thing, new NFT. That before that I didn't know anything about cryptocurrency. I was not investing anywhere. I was just a newbie to this community. So I joined this space with some couple of my friends, and few weeks later I found Lucas. He was started hosting around cryptocurrencies, and he was talking about how cryptocurrency gonna do. I was learning that phase. Like you were saying something.
Oh no, go ahead. It was
Yeah.
just my computer. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was listening to him speaking about cryptocurrencies, how to invest and everything. Not financial advice though, but yeah, I was listening and I learned a lot from him. And people around him was like all are very knowledgeable about the cryptocurrencies and NFTs. And through my journey I learned about how to market my art, how to improve as an artist in this community, how to communicate with others like Iki, Pixelot, and everyone. So we are now a family. We talk to each other every day. We share. We learn new things. Things are happening every day. So this has been my journey so far. But it's been since like it's been a roller coaster since NFT came.
Wow,
Thanks.
that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It was fantastic. Icky, how has your journey been with NFT? Did you know about it for a long time? When did you start getting involved? How did you connect with Lucas?
Oh my goodness, let's try and not take over the entire space of 40 minutes. Look, I've got 20 plus years as in creative kind of commercial.
Mhm.
So, I started out my journey I owned records in audiovisual, working on Amy Winehouse's Frank and Back to Black albums, and then later moved into the wider Universal Gambit and kind of worked a career with a lot of wonderful people, moving into kind of live audio and visual. So always working kind of with audio, with visual, live scenes, lighting between kind of creative and art direction, but never ever would I have called myself an artist. I was, it was my job. I was doing work for them. Had a wild ride, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, 10 years sobriety, and then finally landed myself as a freelancer with 2 children and a wife, and no means of personal expression, and in came NFTs, and at first I saw it as an opportunity, like many do, seeing big numbers that people were making, my peers in the industry, right? So people, you might have heard of, right? The likes of Beeple and so on. So seeing these guys doing what they're doing, and, I work in 3D and thinking, gosh, maybe I can make some money doing this. And I came into the space, and I'd had a fortunate accident. My studio had flooded, and I didn't have access to my equipment to make art, and that's where the ego and my personal vulnerability kind of shifted, because I learned a little bit about the community, and embraced it, and spent the time while I was waiting for the insurance claim to come through, to meet everyone and talk to everyone and build a community. And as part of that journey, I bumped into Lucas, who was incredibly gracious in lending his platform to the likes of me and many others, to learn, and I took his good advice in marketing and branding and building that community. And I didn't release any work in the NFT space for a good 6 weeks.
Wow.
So I was just going in and talking to Lucas. I didn't talk about my past. I chose to keep that private and kind of treat this as a personal venture. I took his advice, and I released my first part of this, of a series of 3. I'm a one-of-one artist. I haven't done a large collectible type project.
10,000, 20,000. You just kept it nice and simple. I like it.
Well, yeah, I kept it nice and simple. Yeah, and kind of focused on it's a different market, but I was very fortunate in that the first piece was picked up by a very big collector in the space named Barack Cremo, who a lot of people know, and that kind of gave me a big nudge. And then the second by another equivalently large collector called Paddy Sash, and from there it's kind of been a roller coaster ride, really. And I've just taken time to meet lots more people and try and use my platform now to give a voice to people that I think deserve a voice, right? People that I resonate with, and continue to stay engaged with my network, right, and my friends, right, my NFT family. And Lucas is one of those people by far. So one of the top of people on my list.
Wow.
Huge wealth of experience, right, in the marketing space. You actually touched on this earlier when you were talking. You said, that there is, this marketing angle, as artists or as creative commercial kind of, commercial creatives, we've not had to think about that. There was either, in my case, the artist had a huge label behind them, right? So they had a lot of funds for that kind of thing,
right.
Teams. Or, my personal work, I never really tried to monetize my personal work, beyond kind of freelancing, right? And trying to, act more like a, LinkedIn, that kind of thing,
right,
like, consulting type, marketing.
So
this was a unique thing.
Yeah, hold that thought, because I definitely want to go back to it if we have time. I just want to make sure that we let us hear the fantastic stories of these other fantastic artists, because I know that each one of you could be like a whole show. So let's go to Pixel Lord next. And again, I want to get back to you because I know that there's a rich story in there. I just want to get a quick overview. And again, in the future, we might do another, NFTs 2.0 or something, because I think this is we're at the very beginning of this. So I just want people to get a lot of different perspectives on what to do, how to do it, and those types of things. So again, thank you, Icky, regarding that story. It was fascinating. Pixel Lord, same question. How did you get started? How did you get connect with Lucas? What's your journey been like? We have 15 minutes. If you could just do that in like just a couple minutes so that we can get everybody, and then we could kind of open it up possibly for some questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, what's up? Sure. Yeah, I've been in lots of spaces with Lucas. I think he has the spaces almost every day or something, and he told me like to buy this and that from collectibles. So he gave me some cool advices for to track certain collectibles, but that's a different story, right? But like before that, I was mostly, selling and trying to make my way on foundation, and then like I started to sell it at some point and to meet more, and then right now I'm just I'm experimenting with my own collectible series. So I made 150 collectibles.
Wow.
Yeah, that's from GM idea. Good morning. I saw how people say GM. Yeah, go GM. Everyone in the chat. So yeah, people say GM every day, and I thought like we can make it a visual GM so people can use it as a same GM but in a cool visual style, mixing lots of different GM fonts and styles and elements. And so that's what I did. So I made 150 GMs and minted it by hand, just like that. No script, no stuff,
and
no smart contract. I just minted them on OpenSea, and it's sold.
And is GM just good morning, or does it? What is GM?
Yeah, good morning.
Okay,
yeah.
So for those people that don't know, when they're talking
people
about GMs,
right now,
perfect.
Every day in Twitter, so and it's like a thing or a meme or.
That's the wonderful thing about GM is that's what's great about NFT community. Everybody just says it's instead of a community that's just like wants something all the time. We just literally say GM. We actually care. We're like, hey, GM. Instead of good morning, we just say GM, and then that's how we start our day in the NFT community. It's a good old fashioned GM. So.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And as well, it's like a new thing. It's a good old fashioned, but still is it like every community has to have its own thing, right? So an NFT is right now it's GM. It was something else before, and it will be something else next. But now I just saw the opportunity to make cool images based on that because people are really using it. So it's like current stuff that I use in my art. But still, I was doing lots of one-on-ones and like music videos and lots of collaborations with 3D artists. Because I started as a musician, as electronic musician, and I'm very thankful for my followers because I had already a bunch of followers from my music career. Like I had like 10 years electronic music career before NFTs, and that helped me a lot, of course, to get into NFT very fast, maybe like a couple of months or something, and still helps me a lot. And I'm trying to build my own community right now around this GM and all the stuff I do and next plans, and so yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Now we know the meaning behind the GM, at least in the NFT community. So let's go to our last two artists, and then we'll open it up. If you have any questions for any of the artists or anything around NFTs for creators, please DM me. We'll bring them up. I'll ask those questions and go from there. Again, if you want to share this information, just go to the last tweet. Also, I'm giving away an NFT for my Llama project. So click on that link that's there to enter into a giveaway for that and be added to the Discord. We're launching it next week. There's going to be much more details about it after this space. But let us continue finding out more fantastic stories from these great artists. So next, Richie, how was your introduction? You're a photographer, a videographer, a DJ. You have so many skills. Where did you start with one? Are you using NFTs for all of them? tell us a little bit about your background, please.
No, I'm just using, so far I've been just using NFTs for photography,
Mhm.
and I'm the type of person who just jumps in. So I was just like minted 2 collections, minted a bunch of stuff on Foundation, and I've done quite well I'm from New Zealand, and I'm Indigenous, and I've done quite well in the Indigenous photography scene. So we've got a different bunch of names and meanings behind the stars. So, and also the moon phases, we have like all this different like history and folklore behind it also. In Instagram and Facebook, I've been doing really, really well with my own people in New Zealand. So I came over to Twitter like earlier in the year, kind of late last year, and I was kind of speaking about that stuff on Twitter. And then I jumped in the NFT space and realized that none of my fans from Instagram or Facebook or even Twitter were on board with the NFT as far as being collectors and people who might buy my stuff. So I had all these pieces minted and no one was really looking at them. So I was already on Twitter, and I could see that there was the NFT space was bubbling there a lot more. So I started looking into spaces. I even just, like I said, I'm the type of person that just jumps in. So I started hosting my own spaces.
Nice.
And then I met Lucas and Amy in a space, and then I came back another time, and then I sold 2 pieces in their space, like live one day. And then and then I did their course, and I kind of learnt about connecting with I'm a connector anyway, so I started just meeting lots and lots and lots of people and talking. I've got a TV and radio background, so speaking in spaces and getting out there was not a problem for me. So I just realized, I have to do that. So I jumped in, did that, and then I started selling, and it's been amazing.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. And last but not least, we have Marv. But before we go to Marv, I had a couple questions that I want you to mull over. Lucas, I wanted to find out, can books be NFTs? And, fashion and Fashion Week, what's going on there with NFTs, if you know. But before we go into that, I just wanted to preempt those kind of questions to have in your mind, to start thinking about them. So Marv, let us know a little bit about your background. How did you get involved with NFTs? Are you doing multiple projects? How did you connect with Lucas? Just give us a quick overview, if you wouldn't mind.
Hey, I'll keep this very short, but I'd say about 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, I made a Twitter because my friends were getting into NFTs, and I'm a graphic designer. I've done posters, music videos, the regular things, but I've never heard of like an NFT, and it was like new for me. So my friends told me, hey, get on Twitter, we've got a group chat, et cetera, et cetera. And, that group chat kind of died down, and I just kind of, went on Twitter, found my own new friends and stuff. And I ended up coming across, one of Lucas's spaces. And I stayed there for a couple days, never really interacted as a listener. But, one day I actually came up and, we talked about each other, got to know each other better. And, what really stood out was, for me, he actually reached out. One time I told him I lived in New Jersey, and he actually reached out saying that he has a yacht invitation that's in Hudson, New Jersey. And he said, I remembered that you told me you're in New Jersey, I'm gonna hook it up for you. So I was like, at first I was still, very skeptical because I don't really know him like that. And I've never been, approached by that type of way before. But, I actually ended up going on a yacht. And, mind you, he did this out of his own, kindness. There was no actual hidden agenda or anything. Like, he just decided to give it away, right? Like, you don't typically do that. And so, automatically from day one, I had that bond with him immediately. And ever since, the spaces, obviously we talk about art and NFTs, but, there's the balance between, life. We get to know about each other's, life, and, get to know each other about, our childhood. And we could really connect. All of us really consider Lucas as an older brother. And, me, I've just been into art. Right now I'm working on my new collection. It's pretty much a 3D project of Drake. And also I've modeled his house. It's very complicated. I'll just keep it very simple. But, this space is, it's been really chill. I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of experiences that I would never had in my basement, just making art. and I've met a lot of great people, and everyone here can vouch for Lucas. And we're very early, and we have a lot of things to achieve in the future. But it's been really fun, and I'm really grateful for the time I've had here.
Well, thank you for sharing. I think that there's an overwhelming amount of support and community amongst this NFT kind of movement, if you will. I think that it correlates with a lot of creators and developing community. So if you're interested in the community, you could look into working with Lucas, talking to these other individuals, and really think about you know what kind of impact you're looking to have, because when we're looking at art in particular, generally there's this self-expression, this interpretation of the world, and that generally impacts people. So this kind of NFT seem to have hit like a very visceral nerve of expression, of like being able to not only do something in your platform but digitize it and make it last forever, and then create a community. And there's all kind of positive vibes, and like I said, every single one of you has this rich kind of history amongst many other things. So before I get to those questions I had for you, Lucas, one of the questions that was asked of Richie was, does all your photos, are they from New Zealand, or do you take photos from other places? What is your kind of format there for your NFT projects?
Everything I take is from a small village that I live in North Canterbury, New Zealand.
Okay, perfect.
Every photo, yeah.
Thanks a lot, really appreciate it. So let's go back to those couple questions that I had earlier. We'll start off with a book. What is your understanding of authors? Can authors make their book an NFT? Have you known of any authors that have created an NFT off of their book, Lucas, or any one of the speakers here?
You definitely can put a book into a tokenize a block into a blockchain, because it's just all you're doing is putting it in as additional content and stuff like that. So you can absolutely mint to just about anything on the blockchain that's digital. So as long as it's digital, audio, as long as it's audio, video, written word, art, anything can be minted onto the blockchain and sold as an NFT for sure.
And from a tactical perspective, it's uploaded like a Dropbox, and then once they pay, they get sent the link.
It's unlockable content. Yep.
Right.
What happens is it's either a token, and you can plug it in and actually, go access it somewhere else, or it's unlockable content within inside the token that then gives you a link that says, "Hey, here's this place," or you could actually also, give you login access to another site that's unlockable, that's only got like a code, a unique code that allows you to have access to that.
Nice.
And then you can trade it as well too. So
trading like cards, because there's a whole movement of like these digital cards, and the NBA has been known for selling moments.
Scarcity,
right?
Yeah, books, and it creates scarcity, which is kind of cool, because like you release 2,000 books, and all of a sudden people actually have to buy it on the secondary market after you're done with that book, and that's sometimes the only way to get it.
Yeah,
that'd be a cool way.
So what I'm gonna do, because we're running, this 2 hours flew by. I just wanted to give everyone a last kind of word of, say, advice that you would give to a creator in like a sentence form. And we're going to start in reverse order. We're going to start with Marv, go to Richie, Pixelord, Icky, and then Art Freak. And then Lucas, I want to hear more information about how people can get best in contact with you regarding these projects, learn about your free course and things like that, and possibly think about potentially doing either a 101 part 2 or a 201. We could talk about that in the DMs, but I think from the feedback that I've been getting from a variety of different places, a lot of people, a lot of creators are super fascinated, super interested about this. So let's wrap it up. So Marv, what would your one sentence advice be regarding anyone that's interested in creating an NFT for their art as a creator?
Yeah, you can pretty much sum it down to this: be genuine and be patient. Those two. I'd really say be genuine and be patient in this space. Everything flows in between those two words in every niche. So as long as you're very patient and you're genuine with all you do, and from a business aspect, from relationships with collectors, be genuine and do not try to, treat this as a cash grab.
Perfect. I love it. Richie, your thoughts?
That pretty much summed it up. I would just add, find your people and build community, and just, what Marva said, be genuine.
Perfect. Love it. Pixel Lord, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's very cool. We have these kind of spaces, and also you guys make sure to check Lucas spaces and Amy. And what I can say about myself, how I can help anyone. I want to help anyone, basically. I want to retweet great artists. I want to, like, if you interact with my tweets, if you don't just send me tweets like, oh, hey, check my art, because no, just go and interact and chat and say things. I check profiles. I really check profiles if people are being people actually on Twitter, and then I can repost. I can maybe buy your stuff if it's not so expensive. I'm not investing in expensive stuff, but I buy collectibles. If you have collectibles, just show me and show to everyone else, like in chats, in spaces. This is cool. We can support each other because we need to the whole thing to grow, right? We're all interested in this. Not only like selling by myself. We all need good sales, right?
Perfect. Love it. So interaction is critical. Pixel Lord, he's there, readily available. If your art is great, he'll invest. But again, don't make it too pricey. But thank you very much. Icky, final thoughts, second to less, please. What do you recommend for a new? I mean, a sentence, not a second.
Three options, right? What the guys have said is spot on.
Yeah.
I would say this is a weird domain where artists are also collectors. Uplift others. If you want your voice to carry in this domain, don't focus on selling your own work. Focus on uplifting others. That's how you get your voice out. That's how you get heard. That's how you get seen by collectors. Second tip would be just go for it, right? Stop, don't think, just do. And the final tip would be follow Lucas Bean, join his spaces, because it's a great platform, lots of time to talk. Also follow Amy Stroud, who's in this audience and not speaking, but find her. Her name is Amy Stroud. Follow her and join those spaces. That would be my advice.
Yes, perfect. And Art Freak, final thoughts. What would you recommend for those creators that are looking into NFTs? What would you say to them?
I would like to say everyone has covered all the topics, but I would say communicate, share, and be interactive about your artwork and your pitch yourself, not your artwork most of the time, and talk more to new people and make connections. That's all going to last forever.
Perfect. I love it. So I brought Amy up. I always like to acknowledge the greats, and Amy's name has been dropped so many times. I feel like Ethereum.
She's an amazing person, and she's absolutely, we work together as a team. It's not me, it's we. So I couldn't do this without her.
Perfect, and I love that. So
let her have the last word. Actually,
that's why I had to bring her up, because the wisdom needs to be shared. So first of all, welcome, Amy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being able to speak. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me up. I'm sorry I didn't come in sooner, but I'm glad I caught the end of this, and you've got a really good panel here. Thanks for having me come up.
Yes, so it looks like we might have a part 2 to this because of the level of interest. So we'll coordinate in the DMs if you're available, so that you can catch the very beginning until the end, which is great. So I'll leave you with the audience with the taste to just get a teaser of who you are. and they'll have to come back to get the more complete story. But as we're wrapping up now, what would you say to those creators that are looking into NFTs? What would be your words of wisdom in about, and I'll give you 2 seconds, 2 sentences to express yourself because you had just joined the panel. So what would you recommend?
I think what the other creators have said here is perfect. Be yourself, go out and just put your artwork out there, because you don't know where it's going to land. You don't know what space you're going to walk into and who you're going to meet. In these spaces, you can be in front of collectors, other creators, and people who can help distribute your artwork, or even purchase it right there in the actual space. And that might be the first piece you sell. It might be the first time that you get an opportunity to go onto a new platform. You don't know who you're going to meet in these spaces, so always make sure that you are trying to get out there, spread your message, and like everyone said, be genuine, be yourself. Let us know who you are, because we want to buy from you, not just your artwork. We want to know more about you.
Perfect. I love it very much. So, as I mentioned, look for a potential part 2 to this. One of the things that we'll coordinate is a thread with a variety of different resources for creators. We might do some joint things. One of the things that I do at Monetize Mondays is, as soon as this is done, the recording is readily available. So if you missed the beginning of this, look at my tweets, look at the hashtag Monetize Monday. It's currently on Periscope, so you can listen to it right away. I also put together a resources page, which I'll be adding a lot of these NFT resources like OpenSeas, like MetaMask, things like that, as well as obviously Lucas's free course, things of that nature. So like, stay tuned. Also, if you're just joining, check the last tweet. The last tweet that I pinned in the nest has a link to a giveaway. I'm part of a project that's about llamas, which is why my avatar is a llama. So look for that. There's going to be a lot more details, but we're giving away some, an NFT. Subscribe. There's going to be a link also once you put your email in to the Discord. You get to see what that's all about. At the very least, follow just to learn the process as an observer. One of the things that has been said is before asking, giving. So, give. Like jab, 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 right hook, the whole Gary Vee thing. Gary Vee also has VeeFriends, which is also NFT, stuff like that. So I want to wrap it up by thanking everyone that has listened. Thank you very much. You guys could all be in different parts. You could all be doing something completely different. You're all coming in from all over the world. And I really appreciate you making time today to just listen, learning, educating yourself about the process. I want to definitely know about your success. If you have any questions or comments, even after this, my DMs are always open to answer any questions. Obviously, this whole panel, give them a follow. I do want to acknowledge them. So if you got a tidbit, just a fraction of information of value, please put the 100s, because these guys made time to really educate us on this process. So if you're in the crowd, got a little bit of knowledge from here, please show them some appreciation, show them some 100s, give them and show them some love. Follow them. There's obviously some spaces that I want to get some information about, but definitely thank you very much. So, Lucas, Amy.
Don't forget one more thing. Also,
yes, please.
The NFT 101 course that me and Amy put together is in both my link in the bio and also Amy's link in the bio. So if you really want to learn everything about NFTs, like from 101 wise, just click the link in my bio or Amy's bio. We put that together. It took us a good long time. I actually think it's pretty good. Some folks took it in the audience here too, so just
perfect. I love that. Also,
learn everything. It's a really easy video course. Yeah.
Perfect. And then, when is your next Twitter Spaces? Is there one today, tomorrow? Do you have them on a weekly basis?
Yeah, we have it every. Me and Amy run Spaces every single day, from like between minimum of 6 to 8 hours a day, if not longer.
Wow.
Most days. So. Yep.
What time is your next one start?
I'd say in like an hour or two.
Okay, so follow them, set notifications. They're going to tweet out the link once it's available. Once I'm available, I'm obviously following them. If not, I am now. And I'll also share Oh yeah, I've been following you guys already. Look at that. So look for some tweets from me, from them. Obviously, this is again the reason why this is important for a creator is that we are all still early adopters. You haven't missed the boat yet. We're creating the future for ourselves as the artist as well as the buyer. This has never happened in the history of time. So be a part of it. Not only know the technology behind it, but also know the marketing behind it. They work jointly. Develop your community for whatever your craft might be. So again, I thank everyone here for making the time. Again, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we obviously have an international audience. So connect if you haven't. We're gonna put together a follow up, multiple follow ups to this. So again, thank you very much. Again, Monetize Mondays every Monday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. It's recorded. As soon as this is done, the recording is going to be readily available, instant replay, and also. If you want to be a part of the NFT project that I am doing, the Llama launch, click the last link in the nest there. There is a giveaway. We're going to give away an NFT, but also there's going to be a Discord. There's going to be ways for you to win within the Discord. Just be a part of the experience so that you know what it's like for your project and things of that nature. So, again, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. Look out for a lot more information from all of us. But again, Marv, thank you very much. Rich, Art Freak, Lord, Amy, Lucas, and all the artists and all the people that asked questions in the DMs. Greatly appreciate your involvement. Like I said, this is just, I think, the first of many that we'll have. And one of the things that, if you guys are open to it, I'm Dominican and there's a big Latino community. So if you're open to doing a bilingual NFT 101, we could get it transcribed, we could figure it out. And I say this also because on the 15th, it's Hispanic Heritage Month. So it goes from the 15th of September, 15th to October. So we could do something for that time frame if you're open to it. So let's connect on the DMs for that if you're interested. So again, thank you very much. These Twitter spaces, Lucas and Amy, you probably already know this. It's very easy to open. It's very hard to close because it just goes on. And I can understand how you guys are on for 8 hours or so. So unless there's Lucas, Amy, any parting
reps,
words?
Man, we got to put in the reps.
Yes.
Show up, consistency. That's the key.
Exactly. Any last words, Amy, Lucas, before we end the space? GM. That's the word of the day. All right.
It's always GM somewhere. It's always GM somewhere in the world.
GM.
We're all gonna make it as well.
Exactly.
No, you know it. We're all gonna make it.
Fantastic. Well, guys, have a fantastic day. Let's connect on the DMs to do some follow-up kind of stuff. And but I'm ending the space. Guys, have a fantastic day.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. This was phenomenal.
Thanks a lot.
Indeed.
So far.
So on 5,
Thank you.
4, 3,
Bye-bye.
2, 1. Ciao for now.